The rain fell in a soft, relentless drizzle, turning the cobblestone alley into a glistening maze as Arianna and Sophia hurried through the narrow passage. The night was heavy with the scent of wet stone and the distant hum of a sprawling American city, their footsteps sinking in a rhythm that felt almost faded. Both were drenched, their leather jackets clinging to their frames, hair plastered against their faces in wild, wet strands. They had been strangers mere minutes ago, two figures brushing past each other in the chaotic swirl of a crowded bar, but the storm and a fleeting, electric glance had thrown them together under the faint, flickering glow of a lone street lamp. Arianna, with her sharp green eyes and a restless energy that pulsed beneath her quiet exterior, had been the first to break the silence. She caught Sophia fumbling with a soaked scarf, her delicate fingers trembling from the cold, the fabric slipping from her grasp like a lost memory. Without a second thought, Arianna shrugged off her jacket and held it out. "You're about to melt into the pavement," she said, her voice laced with a teasing warmth that cut through the night's chill, her lips curling into a half-smile. Sophia, with her deep brown eyes and smile that hinted at untold stories, fragile yet radiant, let out a laugh, a sound like breaking glass, and accepted the gesture with a grateful nod. "Thanks," she murmured, her voice soft but steady, and that was the spark, a shared umbrella pilfered from the bar, a dash through the rain, and a conversation that unfolded like a thread pulled from a carefully woven tapestry. They were both young, Arianna at 22, Sophia at 24, navigating the raw, uncharted waters of adulthood in a city that never slept. Arianna juggled odd jobs, a barista by day pouring lattes with a distracted hand, and a musician by night, her guitar case slung over her shoulder like a shield against the world's indifference. Sophia was an art student, her sketchbook tucked under her arm, its pages filled with charcoal sketches of faces she'd never met but felt she understood, strangers pulled from her imagination, each stroke a confession. Neither had anticipated this night would shift the axis of their lives, but the air between them crackled with an unspoken connection as they dodged puddles and traded fragments of their stories, their voices rising and falling with the rhythm of the rain. The alley wound tighter, its walls closing in until the world felt like it belonged only to them. Arianna's breath caught as she stole a glance at Sophia, whose wet hair clung to her cheek in a way that made her look both vulnerable and fiercely alive. The street lamp cast a golden halo around them, illuminating the droplets that clung to Sophia's lashes like tiny jewels. "This cuts through to my place," Sophia murmured, her voice low, as if the night demanded discretion, her eyes flickering toward Arianna with a hint of uncertainty. Arianna nodded, her heart thudding, not from the run, but from the magnetic pull of Sophia's presence, a force she couldn't name but felt in every nerve. They talked of everything and nothing, the sting of a gallery rejection that had left Sophia staring at her phone in silence, the rush of a crowd singing along to Arianna's lyrics in a smoky dive bar, the weight of family expectations they couldn't fulfill, parents who wanted stability, dreams that demanded chaos. It was honest, unpolished, and it wove them together in a way neither could articulate, their words a bridge over the chasm of their solitary lives. As they neared the alley's end, the rain eased to a gentle patter, the storm retreating like a curtain lifting on a new act. Sophia paused, turning to Arianna with a shy, hesitant smile that lit up her face despite the dampness. "I'm not far," she said softly, her voice carrying a vulnerability that made Arianna's chest tighten. "Want to come in? I could make us some tea. Warm you up." The offer hung between them, a lifeline tossed into the stormy sea of their encounter, heavy with possibility. Arianna's mind raced, her empty apartment waiting with its cold silence, the unanswered messages on her phone, the risk of stepping into something unknown, and she nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah," she said, her lips trembling with a mix of nerves and anticipation. "Tea sounds perfect." The walk to Sophia's studio was brief, a cramped space above a bakery that filled the air with a faint, comforting scent of cinnamon and yeast. The building creaked as they climbed the narrow stairs, their wet shoes leaving dark prints on the worn wood. Inside, The room was a whirlwind of art supplies and half-finished canvases, each one a glimpse into Sophia's soul. Bold strokes of color, shadowy figures, a chaos that somehow made sense. A rickety table overflowed with paint tubes and brushes, a sagging couch sat against one wall, and a single lamp cast a warm glow over the clutter. Arianna lingered by the door, her jacket dripping onto the faded rug, the guitar case leaning against the wall like an awkward guest, as Sophia moved to the kitchenette with a quiet grace despite the dampness clinging to her clothes. The kettle whistled, a sharp cry that broke the tension, and soon they were settled on the couch, steaming mugs in hand, the warmth seeping into their chilled fingers as the rain tapped a gentle rhythm against the window. The conversation deepened, peeling back the layers they wore for the world. Sophia spoke of her struggle to find her place, her voice trembling as she admitted she'd spent years feeling like an outsider, her art a refuge from a family that didn't understand her. "I've never felt truly seen," she confessed, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, "until tonight." Arianna listened, her heart aching with recognition, and shared her own fears. Losing herself to her music, chasing a dream that might leave her hollow, the nights she'd spent alone with her guitar as her only companion. The space between them shrank, their knees brushing, the air thick with unspoken words. Sophia's hand trembled as she set her mug down, her fingers lingering on the ceramic, and her eyes locked with Arianna's, a question hanging silently between them. "I don't know why," Sophia said, her voice barely audible over the soft patter of rain, "but I feel like I've known you forever." The words hit Arianna like a wave, stirring something deep within her. Her heart skipped, and she reached out, her hand finding Sophia's, their fingers intertwining with a tentative strength that felt like a promise. The room seemed to fade, leaving only the sound of their breathing and the soft clink of the cooling tea on the table. Slowly, Arianna leaned in, her free hand brushing Sophia's cheek, wet hair sticking to her skin in soft, dark tendrils. Sophia's eyes fluttered shut, her breath hitching, and their lips met, soft, hesitant, a kiss born of rain and revelation, free of lust but heavy with emotion. It was a moment of connection, a quiet acknowledgement of the bond that had formed in the span of a stormy night, as the world outside continued its gentle, unhurried spin. They pulled back, foreheads touching, the warmth of their breath mingling in the dim light. Neither spoke, the silence a comfortable weight, as the rain outside slowed to a drizzle. The night had brought them together, two souls adrift in a city of millions, and in that small apartment above the bakery, they found something neither had dared to hope for: a beginning.